Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Spider-Verse Retrospectives, and today we're going to be continuing our discussion of the Spider-Woman tie-ins to Spider-Verse as we take a look at Spider-Woman Volume 5, Number 2. Now, last time on Spider-Woman, Cindy Moon, aka Silk, realizing that she was the bride, decided that the best way to protect the Spider Army was to essentially just jump ship and keep the Inheritors off their tail as they continue to hunt her. To act as backup, Jessica Drew, aka Spider-Woman, and Spider-Man Noir want following after her, but as the Inheritors tracked them, Spider-Man Noir was sadly injured and had to be brought back to his universe so he could rest and recuperate. While there, the Amazing Spider-Man, alongside Spider-Gwen and Anya Cortisone, dropped by to not only to drop off cloaking tech, which I forgot to mention because they didn't mention it in the story, but also because Spidey wants Jessica to go on a different mission, a recon mission specifically. We don't learn the specifics of it, but of course, if you've read Spider-Verse, then you know it's a recon mission to Loomworld, and Spidey says that the task of protecting Cindy will fall to Anya and Gwen. And while Jessica isn't exactly happy about this, as she feels that Anya and Gwen are too inexperienced to do a job like this important, ultimately she does concede, though, when she warns Anya and Gwen about how Cindy might just get them killed. Cindy overhears this and decides that she doesn't want anyone protecting her or getting hurt, so while everyone's backs are turned, she just jumps ship to another universe and continues on her trek, this time solo. In the meantime, Jessica wound up following Peter to go and take her mission, and, well, that's where issue 2 begins, as we actually see Jessica as she goes to Loomworld. And, sorry, while I have talked about Loomworld before this, well, I've never really gone much into Loomworld as a world, so to speak. I've only really referred to it as the stronghold of the Inheritors, which it is. But Loomworld as a place is also a testament to the Inheritors and their conquest, because the Inheritors aren't just the Inheritors of all reality because they lay claim to the web of life and destiny. They call themselves the Inheritors because, well, they're also conquerors. They don't just hunt Spideys across the multiverse. They have actually conquered entire universes and put them under their boot heel. And basically, Loomworld is a testament to that, because Loomworld is essentially a patchwork world of all the realities and worlds they've conquered, as it's a mishmash of all the different societies and people of all the different worlds. Like, you can see futuristic technology alongside primitive works. When the first panel of the comic is flying cars in the sky, while on the ground you can see robots or carriages or fucking astronauts alongside pirates or lizard monsters. It's just a weird, and it's all just in a very kind of Renaissance-esque town with people living either in squalor or riches, and both sides are just walking alongside each other as if nothing is wrong, as if they're just the same thing. It's really interesting, and it's actually something that I do like about it. And I do like the variety of all the different people that live here. It's honestly really cool, and I dig it. But Jessica's on Loomworld to gather intel for the Spider Army, and while she is trying to lay low, well, as she walks the streets of Loomworld, turns out everybody knows who she is, because her counterpart on Loomworld is kind of a bit of a celebrity. Everybody looks up to her, and the instant everyone sees Jessica, they assume that she's her, and immediately just like, "Oh, Jessica, over here! Have you got my gift here? Give this!" And to the point where they actually start crowding around her, and Jessica, trying to keep up appearances, just kind of goes with the flow, though she's clearly getting a little claustrophobic with everyone kind of closing in on her. However, help comes from kind of an unexpected place, as a weird octopus creature man thing ends up grabbing her in its tentacle arms and pulls her away from the crowd, claiming that she's ours. But it turns out that the octopus guy is a pirate, and this octopus thing actually works for the Loomworld version of Namor, who, he's a pirate on this universe, which I didn't realize that he was Namor at first until, I think much later, because, well, Pirate Namor does not look anything like his main universe counterpart. He's got a little beard, he wears a trench coat, and of course, and because he wears the puffy pants with boots, I don't see the little wings on his feet, so I didn't realize that it was Namor at first, but Namor he is, and it turns out that, well, he sent his men to go get Jessica. Or more specific, when I say fetch, I meant he actually wanted them to say, "Hey, can you get Jessica to come here?" But hold on one sec. Sorry about that. Just got a little confused there, but pretty much, yeah, he does apologize to Jessica for how his man went to go get her, but she says it's fine. She was already feeling claustrophobic as it was, and that just gave her an excuse to get out of there. However, Jessica, of course, wonders why she's been brought along at all, but she does get some valuable intel out of Namor offhand, basically about how she's apparently some kind of how she is somewhat royalty around here, how she's very important, and how she and Pirate Namor seem to have some sort of deal going on under the table. Whereas he talks about as he says that apparently he's brought in the latest catch, and she gets first pick. And Jessica, not knowing anything about what the hell he's talking about, assumes that that the scheduled meeting is a booty call, which even she's kicking herself for too, and starts to wonder so how is he going to get rid of the obvious imposter? Knife in the back or walking the plank? But ultimately, she thankfully does get out of this little thing because, well, as I mentioned, Jessica does have pheromone powers, which rather than ending up getting killed, she ends up hitting Pirate Namor with a good dose of the stuff, and as a result, he's just kind of putty in her hands as he just starts regaling her with stories of his escapades and adventures, and she just laughs along so that he doesn't end up killing her. So it does work. But there is one little problem. She runs into her counterpart. Or, more specifically, her counterpart comes on the ship. I should probably talk about Loomworld Jessica. I have mentioned her briefly when I talked about the Spider-Verse storyline because main universe Jessica had to take her place. But basically the Spider-Woman tie-ins do kind of get more into Loomworld Jessica as a person, and put simply, she a bitch. Yeah, Loomworld Jessica is very much a high and mighty, I am holier than thou, better than you personality, which, yeah, we see from her very first appearance. It's the first time that Loomworld Jessica appears in the comic. She's just walking through the street, and we see that she has her own personal attendant, which makes sense considering that she's supposed to be a maiden for Moreland, and apparently a very important one considering how everyone seems to be regaling her. And while she at first takes all their praise and their gifts in stride, saying, "Oh, thank you, you shouldn't have," we quickly learn that there is a bit of sour under that sweetness as a kid runs up to her and tugs at her arm, saying that because he wants her to get to this weird mechanical owl that he and his mom have been working on. But Loomworld Jessica just scoffs at the kid and has one of her guards push him down because this kid even dared to touch her. She's a bit of a bitch. And the instant that main universe Jessica sees her, she realizes that to try and avoid confusion, she pulls Namor aside and through her pheromone powers is able to convince him to not say a word of her presence before she jumps out of the cabin door. Telling him, "I'm going to be coming back. I'm going to be another me's going to come knocking on the door, and just to keep everything normal, don't just pretend me was not here." So, which apparently works because Jessica's cover is not blown. However, as this is going on, the comic then cuts back to Cindy, and put simply, we see that she's kind of moving quickly. Because Brix and Bora are still on her tail, we see that she's just been constantly jumping between universes, and we do see snippets of some of those worlds through panels. Like one panel shows her running across a racetrack, another is in medieval times, as we see what looks like a medieval Captain America, before she ends up on a world that's clearly set during some kind of war. But which unfortunately kind of acts as her undoing as she managed to get caught in a bomb explosion, which unfortunately ends up damaging her teleporter, which is a little bad because Brix and Bora immediately show up via portal to apprehend her, cornering her in an alley of this world. However, thankfully, Brix and Bora start bickering as Bora starts calling her brother out for potentially harming the bride because they're supposed to bring her in alive, and so Cindy decides to take this opportunity to cut and run, and since her dimensional teleporter is busted, she decides to go for the next best thing and shoots a web line into the portal Brix and Bora came from, for going through it, which even Brix and Bora thinks is a little odd considering that portal is supposed to go straight to Loomworld, so she just went right into the lion's den right there. Not a smart plan. But meanwhile, back on Loomworld, we wind up cutting back to Loomworld Jessica as she returns back to the Inheritor's stronghold, the Great Hall, and we see her meeting with this robot servant or whatever by the name of Locust, who is giving her, who has snuck her a bottle of wine in the kitchen, and she's all thanking him, telling him, "Oh, you're a lifesaver, thanks so much," yada yada yada. But once Locust is out of earshot, her guards are just kind of, even they think that what Jessica did was kind of a dick move, because the instant that the Inheritors realize that that bottle of wine is taken from the kitchen, they're probably going to know it was Locust and give him and punish him for it. Which Loomworld Jessica says, "Oh, it's like he's going to get punishes anyway. At least this way I get a bottle of wine out of it." Which, yeah, at this point, the main universe Jessica has actually managed to get into the Inheritor stronghold, and she's seeing how douchey her Loomworld counterpart is, and she's just disgusted by her actions. But ultimately, Loomworld Jessica doesn't really have a lot of chances to enjoy her spoils, because Brix and Bora come back, and she immediately has to bow down and be subservient to them. Though she makes sure to hide the wine so they don't see what happened. As such, Brix and Bora tell Loomworld Jessica that they're going to be taking her guard detail because the bride is in the Great Hall, and they want to look for her. With even telling Jessica, if you see it at all, make a commotion and come get us. Which Loomworld Jessica complies with before Brix and Bora leave with their guard detail. But immediately upon them leaving, Cindy immediately shows up as he runs through the hall. But as she's running by, she sees Loomworld Jessica and immediately assumes it's the main universe one, going, "Oh my god, I can't, Jessica, it's so good to see you." To which Loomworld Jessica immediately shouts out Totem. Thankfully, nobody hears it, because before she can do anything, main universe Jessica comes out and decks her Loomworld counterpart in the face, knocking her out in one hit. Which, yeah, Cindy's a little shocked to see her there, but at least she is happy for the assistance. And Jessica, well, she's been wanting to deck her her bitchy counterpart in the face for a little while now. However, she does ask Cindy why the hell she's here and where Anya and Gwen is, and Cindy tells her that she kind of ditched them, and that the reason she's here is because her teleporter was busted, and the best plan that she could think of to evade Brix and Bora was to shoot a web blind to go to Loomworld. While Jessica is a little disappointed in this, she knows that Cindy cannot stay on Loomworld because she's a sitting duck as long as she's here, and as long as she's here, the Inheritors will be hunting her even greater, since home turf. As such, this is where she swaps teleporters with Cindy, and so Cindy gets her functioning teleporter while Jessica gets the crummy busted one. As such, Cindy immediately thanks Jessica and uses the teleporter immediately, while Jessica drags the body of her Loomworld counterpart away to essentially dispose of her, so to speak. And with Cindy, well, we soon see what world she's popped over to after getting away from Loomworld. And it is Earth 3145, post-thermonuclear radiation. And yeah, just like in the main story, the instant she sets foot on this world, she starts coughing up. But ultimately, this is also the same moment when Brix and Bora try catching up with her and realize they can't follow after her because post-thermonuclear war. And yep, Cindy, and one of the moments that I think where the art actually does look well, or at least is tolerable for the story, or at least is actually reflective of the story. Once Brix and Bora realize they can't follow her after her, unless they look through the portal at Cindy, she just kind of gives them a smug smirk because she realizes they're not coming for her here. So I like that. I'll give it credit. That's actually funny. But in the meantime, back with Jessica, well, she's managed to stuff her Loomworld counterpart into a treasure chest, but to be safe, she ends up calling Pirate Namor and tells him that I want you to take, and brings the chest out to a ship, telling him I want you to just take this chest out to the out in the bay for a while, and then when I give the word, you can bring it back. With Namor pretty much so Namor is a little surprised that she's willing to do that. She's asking for her services so readily, and when he asks what his reward is, she says that depends on how successful my mission goes when it's all over and done with. Which he's a little surprised that she's not just going for the straight riches and glory and all that shit. But he does accept the offer and says that he'll keep the chest for at least 2 days. So good, everything's good. Everything's good. Loomworld Jessica has been hauled away. The main universe Jessica is able to slip into her counterpart's place, and she's in a perfect position to gather intel, right? Well, the instant she returns back to the Inheritors' Great Hall, that's when Moreland shows up, and Jessica, believing that she's more subservient to him, takes a bow as well. But when Moreland arrives and sees Jessica kneeling, he's like, "Why are you doing this?" It's like, "Hey, why are you bowing?" And Jessica's like, "I'm just demeaning myself to you, my liege." To which he helps her up and says, "Oh, you don't need to do that." As he holds her closer, rubs his face against hers, then Jessica quickly realizes, oh shit, before Moreland pulls her in for a kiss. So yeah, that's the comic. My thoughts on it? This is a big what the fuck. Again, the ending I think is a nice bit of oh shit, because I don't like saying this, but there's some kind of nice hilarity to seeing Jessica kind of suffer. While Spider-Man gets the humor from being the clown that makes his enemies go nuts. In the case of Jessica, it's a similar case to what we saw Miles go through in Spider-Verse Team Up #2. But in her case, because she's the only sane person in a world of crazy people, which it's kind of saying a lot considering that she's in the superhero community. But yeah, basically what I like seeing her here is seeing her trying to blend into Loomworld and fit into the role of her counterpart, but but basically she has no idea what she's doing because, well, she's trying to take the place of someone who has a whole life on Loomworld. Everybody looks up to her. There are people that know her name. There are people that she's made deals with, and she has absolutely no idea how to talk to any of them. Hold on one second. Apologies. But yeah, it's amusing to kind of see her kind of squirming like this, especially since she has to continue adapting to the changes. And yeah, I won't lie, when she flounders and has to kind of resort to using her pheromone powers, there's a part of me that kind of finds it amusing. Again, I don't want things to go bad for her, and I do understand, again, serious mind and all that, but again, every comedy routine needs a straight man, and in this case, Jessica's that straight man, or straight woman in this case. But either way, it's funny. I find it amusing. Find it amusing, especially as she does try to continually go with the flow, as well as seeing how her counterpart, especially when she sees how her counterpart acts in relation to others. Which, yeah, nice to know. How would you react if you were a superhero and you learned one of your counterparts was kind of a bitch to everybody she interacted with? It would be kind of a weird thing. But at the same time, there is still some nice little tension because, while it is amusing to see to see Jessica sorry, again, I getting names mixed up. While it is amusing to see Jessica kind of floundering and trying to figure out what to do and how to properly act so as not to raise eyebrows. At the same time, when you're in the deep end at like this, and you have to try and gather intel, well, when you have a direct counterpart that everybody knows and you have to pretend to be them, which means also going into the routine, you're more liable to fail. And when it's essentially a stealth mission and this is the circumstances you're given, this means all eyes are on you, which means if you screw up, it has more consequences. If you were someone that nobody knew or were just a faceless entity in a crowd, you could slip in, and if you played things right, you could gather intel in the best way possible. But because Jessica's counterpart is so connected to the Inheritors and is such a big celebrity on Loomworld, well, it means that when she screws up, everybody sees it, and sadly, that means that she needs to adapt in other ways, which again goes to the pheromone powers. Which of course makes the finale of issue 2 even greater, because now she's in a position where if she screws up, the bigger problem that could occur from this is that her life force has made dinner for her boy toy, so to speak. So yeah, that's a bit of an oh shit moment. It's equal parts somewhat amusing, but also equal parts no oh shit at the same. It's equal parts amusing and oh shit. So I kind of like that. So I do kind of find that so I do kind of like that. So again, good tension in that regard, and so good tension in that regard. And there is some humor to seeing Jessica try and flounder and think of a good excuse, but also good tension because one screw up could lead to astronomical terrible consequences. So I like that. And again, another thing I like, seeing Loom World. I like that we get to see a lot more of Loom World this time around. Well, most times that we've seen Loom World, it's usually just been the Great Hall. And while we did see a small snippet of Loom World in the lead into Spider-Verse, which I talked about a little bit when I mentioned how we saw the counterparts of some of Spider-Man's supporting cast from there, we didn't really see Loom World as a place. It was described as a testament to the Inheritors and their conquest across the multiverse. But again, we always saw where the Inheritor portion. Because Jessica is actually exploring Loom World and has to actually interact with the locals to gather intel, well, it works to her advantage. We actually get to see more of the society of Loom World, the people that live in it, and I think it's really creative to have this world that's essentially a hodgepodge of all these different societies and time frames and people and races. I think it's so interesting, and I kind of like seeing how they all kind of live in equilibrium, even if the thing that all binds them is fear of the Inheritors' retaliation. So I think that's interesting. I like seeing that, and of course, because I'm an alternate universe nut, I like seeing this world's versions of characters that we know, like seeing Pirate Namor or bitch Jessica. I always like seeing how an environment can shape someone. And yeah, there's a chance that Namor and Jessica might not even be native to this world, but hey, this is the world we see them, so I'm going to attribute them to this world, so there you go. But I do find it still interesting, and I do like seeing the similarities with them. I do like that Pirate Namor is still connected to the sea, even if he's not royalty anymore, but it is still kind of fun seeing him as a pirate. And likewise, bitch Jessica does kind of raise some questions about where she is, about her upbringing, because understandably, when you're raised in an environment where the Inheritors always have their boot just inches from your neck, of course you're gonna do whatever you can to survive. And considering that Jessica is essentially the consort to Morlun, of course she's gonna be doing whatever she can to survive. And basically, in a world where the pecking order is the Inheritors and everybody else, kind of wedging yourself in between there, so you have a lot more privilege and have a higher chance of staying alive. Of course, I can understand why she would hold on to that. Though, of course, she does not have any love for the Inheritors either, as she still does some shifty things under their radar. She uses her privilege to get them, but she also is not willing to share them either. Like when she manipulated Locust to get the wine bottle, even though she knew it would come back to bite him. But again, not her problem, not her problem, so whatever. So I do like that. I do like seeing more of that in the study of the characters. So I do find that nice. And of course, I also do like the stuff with Cindy as we see her continue jumping through universes, which again, it's only snippets of other worlds. Again, I love seeing them, and those do make me wonder what those world stories are, especially the medieval universe with medieval Captain America. I want to know that shit. Thank you very much. So I dig it, and I do at least like that we got to see a little bit more with Cindy on Earth 3145, because again, I'm still not a fan of Greg Land's art. The smirk I think was a nice little touch, so kudos on that. That's actually good. But otherwise, though, if I have to list any complaints of the issue, it's more just a curiosity more than anything. Well, because here's the thing. When Jessica is on Loom World, through the entirety of the issue, she's in her Spider-Woman costume, which... why would she wear that? Okay, let's think. I'm going to ask a question here. She's a spider totem! And a common theme when it comes to the spider totems of the multiverse is that they wear garish superhero attire, and Jessica is no exception. So why is she going around in her Spider-Woman jammies? I understand keep the brand, but if you're going for intel, maybe, just maybe, you should go into your civilian garb? Just saying. But it's only, and I'm not gonna, before you say, well, her counterpart dresses like that, which, yeah, Loom World Jessica also is wearing the Spider-Woman outfit without the mask, but she didn't know that's what her counterpart would be looking like. The only reason everybody everybody assumes that it's her because they're still wearing the same outfits, except one's not wearing a mask, which, again, I'd still be asking questions because the eye holes in her mask are the same spider teardrop eye holes, so... I'm kind of curious about that, but the fact that Loom World Jessica was wearing the costume, hold on one sec. Apologies, you're probably going to hear crunching in the background. But yeah, the fact that Loom World Jessica was wearing the Spider-Woman out without the mask, that raises a question or two. Specifically, is she a Spider Totem too? Because if that's the case, why is she alive? I thought the gimmick with the Inheritors was that they were hunting any Spider Totem in the multiverse, regardless of their allegiances, good, bad, or indifferent. If they have spider powers, they want to hunt them, because the whole prophecy with the Inheritors and the Spider People was that the Spideys of the multiverse are going to end their reign, so they need to kill them off while they can. So, why is she wearing her... So why? Why, if she is if Balloon World Jessica is a Spider Totem, then why keep her alive? It just feels weird is all. And if she isn't a Spider Totem, then why is she wearing that costume? Is it just ceremonial? I don't really understand it. I mean, if she was a Spider Totem, it would help make her an easier it would help make it easier, but that also raises some questions that I'll bring up next issue, because there's kind of a problem with your stealth mission when the people that you're supposed to be hiding from can sense Spider Totems. There are some questions that I need answered. It's weird. It's weird. Again, it's just not bad by any means. It is interesting. Like seeing more of Loom World. Like seeing more of this world's version of characters that we know, like with Namor and Jessica Drew. I like seeing there is some amusement with seeing Jessica flounder, but at the same time, some good tension. I like seeing the little snippets of the worlds that Cindy goes to. And again, the ending is definitely an oh shit moment, because again, because Jessica realized that her cover does get her close to the Inheritors, but not in the way that she really wants. So, kind of a bad thing. So, this is definitely going to lead to some issues later on. But overall, still a good issue. Still a good issue. Do have some questions about the whole thing, but overall, still a good time. So, yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I'll hopefully see you on Thursday. Take care.